So I'm here with David Cronenwett from Helena BJJ in Montana. I'm up here visiting to help David with a project, and I thought it'd be really fun to maybe talk a little jiu-jitsu with David, because David is not only a killer black belt, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for 25 years.
Yep.
Long time. Very good, very technical, fluid, efficient, and David's not a young fella anymore. He's getting up there.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
He's getting up there. And so I thought it'd be fun to maybe explore a little bit how he approaches the game as an older athlete, and maybe I can learn some things from him, and maybe we can share some things. So thank you so much, David.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for coming up to our gym.
You know, I have stopped a little bit looking at guard passing as being these self-contained techniques that you execute. And to me, it's more, you know, crossing the knee line,
Right.
and those sorts of principles. So let's maybe configure ourselves in a guard passing.
Sure.
And tell me what sorts of things you're thinking about, maybe conceptually or that sort of thing.
Okay. Sure. Let's do it. So
I mean, we start
pick your
I mean, we start from close
guard. Okay. So, you know, obviously I need to be safe and I need to protect myself. So I'm thinking about arms and neck and posture and base and grips. That's kind of a lot, but posture, base, and grips, that's all stuff we learn the first day. And I'm going to try to, I like to kind of see, to get a sense, like if I'm just slapping and going with somebody, especially someone I don't know, as well, this is a time to sort of feel out
what they're doing,
what they're putting out, right? And is he going to start rocking me back and forth? You know, so I take a few seconds, 30 seconds, to kind of just see where this is going. Is he going to attack my collar? Is he that kind of guy? Is he going to break my posture? And depending on what happens, I'm going to start creating pressure, you know, right away. So if I'm going to start to stand, I like to isolate one arm, and then that's the side I'm going to stand on, right? I'm going to come up, break, and there's a million places we can go from here. I can go to a split position. I can do the rodeo pass here and attack. So for me, it's like, when am I going to start creating pressure, and how am I going to do that? Because you're either going to do a movement-based pass, right? Or you're going to do a pressure-type pass. And I'm either going to go through, around, or under. That's it. Like, there's not much else, right, in that game. And with our, you know, with our sort of traditional passing, you know, same kind of thing. Isolate the hips here, and as soon as it's open, this is where it gets interesting to me. Because it's, you know, they're not just going to sit here. If it's anybody who knows anything, like they're going to react. Okay. So react in some way? Where would you typically go
well,
from here?
typically for me, I'm trying to
You're going to hang out there?
I'm going to
That's
get
good.
well, I want to, personally, I'm going to want to get some grips.
Okay.
I'm going to want to get some kind of connection with your hips, maybe, of some kind.
This is good.
And so a lot of times I'll just...
Okay, so you're going to go here.
Maybe go here initially, just because that gives me the ability to kind of manage this a little bit.
Sure. Okay. This is great. Like, this is what makes jiu-jitsu interesting, right? Because again, I can have my plan. And I can blow by the white belts, the blue belts, the purple belts. You know, brown, black starts to get a little more interesting. So you're gonna react here, and I might do something like stand up to see how you react to that. Maybe you go to De La Hiva or something. Then I stuff it, knee cut, pass, whatever.
Nice.
So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but sometimes I'm reacting. Sometimes I'm imposing.
And, you know, one of the big takeaways with people that are more skilled is you have your sequences totally worked out to where you can be very efficient, and you can just modify your game plan and say, he's giving me a Toriando, he's giving me this, but you don't have to think about those things really. They're just programmed to where you're feeling something and you can just efficiently go to that thing. There's speed, but there's the perception of speed, which is just efficiency and timing and you know, minimizing those gaps, which is what I feel from someone like you that I wouldn't feel from someone who's sort of like, maybe I'd go there, maybe I'd do this, maybe it's very, you know.
And how we, I don't know, like at this phase, once you get to a certain level, it's like, it gets difficult to verbalize and explain. It's just this very intuitive, physical thing that's going on. And when you do it for so long, like I've done it for 25 years, it's half my life. I'm going to be 52 this week. You know, it's like I was saying earlier, like I'm really circling back and sort of kind of questioning, like, what is jiu-jitsu? Like what, like I know so little now, you know, like I can't, I'm not exaggerating. Like I really feel that way. Like you get to a point where, you know, it's like, it's just a dark white belt now, right? And so if you can be open to new stuff, there's something to learn from every role, every person, of every ability. Be adaptable. Like that's key. That's key. It's nature's law, right? If you're getting crushed, learn to relax, learn to breathe, like Hickson says, you know, and learn to get comfortable in the uncomfortable situations.
So let's talk about the uncomfortable situations. You know, when people are newer at jiu-jitsu and they're on the bottom, say side control bottom, usually they're expending a huge amount of fuel to try to get out, and a lot of times very unproductively. You know, it's just this sort of thing. You know, as you get better at jiu-jitsu, you learn to relax within that and say, okay, he's not really giving me the opening that I need. How can I maybe make smaller movements to position myself so that I'm prepared to seize that moment? So how do you, let's say you're on bottom, side control, let's say. What's kind of your go-to maybe positioning, pre-positioning sort of thing?
Right, so I should say that, like, before the roll, I try to decide, like, what kind of roll do I want this to be? Do I want to be more aggressive? Do I want to work on a certain escape? Like, that can be helpful to improve. Like, you have goals, right? So that kind of depends. But if we're down here, you know, like, am I in a I'm going to get out of this right away kind of mood, or am I in a, like, you know what, I'm going to give this person something to work with and maybe even bait them? Because that's a whole nother way to treat it. Like, so maybe I'll, right? Yeah, go ahead. You know, and like, they'll see that, they'll have that response. They'll see like red meat. But guess what? Now they're excitable. Right? So that's going to be my moment.
And that's your moment to come
in. And I do like doing that. Occasionally I get caught. That's going to happen. But it's like the reaction on someone's face when I make like a basic mistake, they can feel it, man. Like, you know, they leave holes. Like, they want to get the black belt, right? So that's one sort of concept. For me, lately, I've been along those same lines. Like, I'm really into, you know, making
turning it away.
Classic mistakes. So one of my favorites, borrowed this from Jeff Glover, is to reach back, extend, come under. Of course, I'm protecting my neck and arms the whole time, right? Then I start to elevate here, and you can go into all sorts of different positions. It's really sneaky. And it makes people think.
That again.
Okay, so let's say you passed.
Hey, Jeff.
Let's say you passed my guard. Okay, so in that transition, I'm actually. We're here. Okay, let's give me a toss this way.
Just
go this way.
So this way.
I'm going to turn and just sort of start to protect myself. Okay. Then as they're settling in, they're typically, I'm going to back my hips into you, take my top leg, look for your outside leg. Okay, then I'm going to thread under, and then re-thread under the knee. So the point of leverage is at your knee, right? Then I'm going to put my foot into the mat, then elevate, and then I can get into a hole, actually, depending on how they move, right?
That is really cool. I turn away a lot. Sometimes just because it's sort of fun to make people think they're going to get something, and there's not a whole lot there. But a lot of times, you know, if I'm turning away, you know, for me it's more the hand control and clearing my shoulder. Now I have a pathway, I can turtle and all that. But you're saying catch.
You back your hips. Stay on your side. Back your hips into me and capture here. You extend it. Now come under. Now come under again. No.
Under.
You're right here. Now come back
and then
in.
come back in.
Now plant your foot in the mat. It's at a 45. You feel it?
Oh, I can feel
Just
it.
elevate. It's super easy.
I'm also feeling.
You could go. Yeah, you could for sure.
Waiter suit.
Right, waiter. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
another thing, just sort of conceptually, because you do tend to think more in concepts, I think, the longer you go in this, is in transition, right? And that gets interesting because transitional stuff is all about timing and sensitivity, which takes a long time to develop in jiu-jitsu. And one of the most basic, again, let's do our kind of toss my legs, okay? And you're coming to the side.
Yeah.
And just
ride that momentum.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And man, I get so much use out of that. Is it a specific side control escape?
Yeah.
Is it a transitional escape that you can?
Yeah,
really
that's one of the ones that I teach. They throw your legs. How do you throw this way? I always preach taking. No, that's actually the top leg and coming in.
Right, that's it.
And then coming through.
How efficient is that, right?
It's amazingly efficient. And then of course there's also this sort of stuff.
Right, sure, the Granby.
The Granby.
Yep.
But I find, against really fast guys, there's not enough time.
I find the first one we did there, the roll to the spin to guard, to turtle to guard.
To just go with that.
Yeah, is super efficient. And
Joe Moreira said, wherever your opponent wants to go, help them go in that direction.
Yeah.
So
good.
in a way, they're helping you go.
Right. Yeah. So things like that. That's trying to stay efficient. Really important. And then I guess another, like, as a educator, jiu-jitsu educator, because there's all these, like, in the jiu-jitsu community, self-defense versus sport and gi and no gi and all these artificial divisions, right? Like you can do all of these things.
Yeah.
And to me, like going into the more like innovative stuff, even if you never use K-guard or become, a great leg locker or whatever, those things can teach you so much about body mechanics, timing, sensitivity. It's a training tool sometimes. Maybe you'll end up using it as part of your game.
Yeah.
But especially as we get older, those synaptic connections, it's important, I think, to create new ones, like force yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Because, again, we become more rutted as we get older, and I see it as my job to try to help folks in here at least. Like, no, we're gonna push you a little bit with this, even if you never use it. Like, it's gonna teach you things.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk about mount, bottom. Let's stay defensive for a moment. What's your go-to kind of mount defense? I know it depends. It depends. Everything
depends.
Everything depends. Angle a little bit.
Okay. So, it's going to be how far along are we in this journey here?
Yeah.
Like if it's in transition, once again, I'm going to try to get a shin in, prevent it from happening. If he's really dug in, for me, the go-to, is the elbow escape.
Yeah. So where are your points of contact? You've got hip control.
Yeah, here and here, right? I'm going to do my bridge off to the 45.
And then
I'm just going to start working out. And
Okay.
from here, is it like, am I going to recover guard or go into an attacking position?
Right.
Ashi or whatever.
Right.
But again, look, let's take it from here. Okay, from side control, right? In the transition, right? It's so much easier.
Yes.
It's always more efficient to hit it before you need it, right? The best defense is the one you never had to use. So, I find that people who are savvy top players, who have a tremendous base and pressure, are not very susceptible to an UPA escape.
Yes. Where
that knee escape. Of course, putting the gloves on kind of changes that calculus too, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of what's your take on
again, it just depends on how, am I early? or am I late?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and going back to that momentum.
Sure.
You know, sometimes the simplest thing, you want to get to mount. As you're going to mount,
There it is.
I'm just going to push you off and come up,
Right.
because you're giving me that directionality.
Sure.
But that's early.
Right,
That's
it is.
early, and you know, you can't always get there. If it's
Right.
later, I've had. So go ahead. So we're mounted. I've had, talking about baiting. I've had more success lately, just creating a little distance and baiting you into attacking my neck.
Right.
Because as you lean forward, you know,
There it is.
there it is.
Yeah.
And I just did a video on this because that you can feel that shift of your center of gravity. And that's just kind of me being lazy, like saying, "Hey, take the neck,"
Right,
because I've
right.
got my connection, and
Yeah.
I because guys that are real heavy, you know, I mean this works, but some people are just heavy.
Yeah, tremendous.
They're just very heavy, and
Yeah.
so what are you going to do?
Yep.
They're not going to give you this.
Right. Especially if they're cross-facing.
If they're
over here.
cross-facing, they're not going to give you this. But
Yeah.
I find I can always get this.
Yep.
And then it becomes an irresistible temptation for you to take my neck.
Right.
And as long as I don't lose my connection, keep coming.
Yeah.
You know, now
Yeah,
you're
that's
light.
good.
Now you're light.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, forcing them to make a decision they shouldn't have made, kind of thing. Putting it out there, that's great.
So let's talk about your offensive game. I was watching you roll and attacking the arm from the corner off the top. That's my bread and butter.
It's funny how that became a thing for me. Like, I must be like in the old guy jiu-jitsu, like collective unconscious or something. Because you kind of see that. It's very traditional.
Yeah.
And I, as a top game, like I'm a big kind of knee cutter, I guess, for the passing. Depends on what kind of guard they're playing, obviously, but.
So when you knee cut, are you looking for that underhook?
Yeah.
That far side?
Well, okay, so with gi on, it's going to be different, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, here, a shuffle step, and I'm fond of this in the gi. It functions a lot like a good underhook.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to get on my back here.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm driving forward. So, and if you trap my leg, it kind of do a half or quarter guard kind of
Like,
trap
oh,
my,
just-
yeah,
just
there we
trap,
go, which
yeah.
is really common.
Yeah.
Then I drop the knee out at 90, which is counterintuitive. I drop the hips, and if I still need to pry with that foot, I can pry. Then I'm once I'm here, you know, it's to me like it's going to be this arm, right? So underneath.
So you go
position,
all the way
right?
around.
Kind of a step to that.
And then what do you like to hit from that? Armbar or kimura?
Either. Yeah, it really depends. So we're here, I'm here, okay. Heavy, and the other thing is, Rick, I'll sometimes just sit here for a while and see what happens.
And see what they do.
Of course, anymore, the back step to that 411
Yes,
is right here.
yes.
So I do that a lot, especially no-gi, but it's really important to drop my elbow to keep that pressure here, okay. Drop the hips.
And so my instinct is to try to track your back.
Absolutely.
From here.
So when you go do that,
You're coming all the way around.
and there's the opening. Right, and at this point, depending on where you are,
Right.
it's either going to be, you know, armbar or kimura. So
That's good.
it's like you said, it's just so bread and butter.
It's so good. Yeah, people always. I just find that arm is always there. Even
Yeah, it is.
let's say you're in side control. You know, guys will pummel for their underhook. Boom.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's right there. You can, you know, if your armbar attempt, this clears some space aside. If maybe you don't go all the way, maybe you just switch it and it's there.
Right.
It just seems like it's always there.
It's always there. It's super efficient, and like that kimura grip is just so powerful.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll like let them have it. Again, it's like, can they get it? You know, I'll leave it out there, and if they, you know, say you set it up from the side here.
Yeah.
I'm fond of like letting people have this and seeing, okay, now what can you do with it, man?
What are you gonna do?
Like, are you gonna try for?
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
You're gonna tempt me?
Right, I am. So here's my defensive game. So you drop the hand, or maybe I punch out of it, and there's my escape. You know, it's like, use their desire to try and tap the old guy, the black, like whatever.
Yeah.
Because you'll see them, like, they'll make mistakes. And that's a fun, that's it's just fun to do that. It's like the playful thing, like, that's one of the things. It's like, I want to see, you're playing an emotional, psychological game here. I'll give him my back, I'll give him my leg,
Well, but in that attitude, though, you know, it's a funny thing. So there's effectiveness, which means you got the tap, you were able to positionally dominate, however you define effectiveness. But then there's efficiency, the efficiency component. Sometimes when you're trying harder, you become less efficient and not as open. Whereas if you dial that back and you're a little more playful, all of a sudden you're more effective by being more efficient because you're being a little more playful.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think it's a complex calculus, and it changes by like.
And when I'm feeling more competitive, sometimes I'm less effective because I'm redlining myself
here
more
to here.
As
fast as possible. Yeah, as hard as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it. Like, and that's again the beauty of how we express our jiu-jitsu. Like at that moment, at that day, at that part of your life, at whatever rank you're at, whoever you're going against. There's so many variables. It really does. It's an interesting mimic of like the natural world in a sense, you know, so many variables in nature.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get. I never almost never enter a role with somebody and think, I know what's going to happen.
Right.
Because you've already put yourself back if you think that.
Right.
Maybe that white belt will destroy you somehow.
Yeah.
That can happen. It has happened and it will happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, be adaptable. Just, you know, in that moment, in that flow state.
So, what's your favorite submission these days? What are you hitting the most? Is it that arm?
I actually am pretty. I've been going for a lot of 411 entries.
Have you?
Yeah. Because that's one of the things that, you know, it's just the leg game is like it's really seductive and cool.
Yeah.
And in my head, it's still sort of, you know. It's just fascinating. It fascinates me.
Yeah.
Because I grew up like when I started, like we said earlier, like the legs were looked at as as something you didn't touch, and that's still sort of been the culture of jiu-jitsu, even though Danaher and all those guys and 10th Planet have really pushed the leg game. But so I'm playing a lot with 411 entries. From open guard.
What's your favorite entry? Right
my favorite, it's one I do all the time. So if you're kneeling, and we're kind of in
so it's kind of K-guard-ish?
Yeah, or a knee shield. Okay, so you feed this arm through. Yep, okay, this is it right here. Right, so as soon as I sense this, which happens all the time, you can do this gi or no gi. I'm just gonna isolate the arm. I'm gonna get this foot under your butt. Then sit up. Then I elevate. And then I get my knee behind your knee. And then, the rest is history.
Oh. Right? Show me that again. That's actually really cool.
Sure.
The thing about the 411, you guys call it 411?
411 honey hole.
Yeah, in our lineage, we call it 411. But yeah, it's got many names. Inside Sankaku.
Inside saddle, inside.
The interesting thing about that position, though, is there are a million ways to get into it. Once you start seeing all of those ways to get into it, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So
right.
So
one of my favorites is knee shield. Right, you might gonna smack. You might think about smash passing me or sprawling or whatever. So before that happens, right, inside, under the thigh.
Okay, now come back 1 second here.
Yep, sure.
What do you do if, let's say, I'm trying to kill that space? Is there enough space?
So if it's gi, I'm going to threaten, there a little bit, and I'll just kind of see. And often they're thinking about maybe that wasn't a wise decision, and I'm just looking to get.
And then you're in, and you're getting the far.
Exactly, right? Then I can be here.
Come in.
Now I've got to get, because we're in a weird, it's better if my foot's on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, here. I need to get my knee behind your knee. And then that's
nice.
That's the position.
And then what do you like to finish from here?
For safety's sake, the leg lace. Yeah.
Plug relief.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, you know, we do heel hooks and slowly put those submissions on.
Yeah.
But I just really dig. I was kind of always a sweeper anyway.
Yeah.
So
What's your favorite sweep? You just improvise based on what you feel.
kind of, yeah, improvise. A lot of elevator type sweeps like that.
Yeah.
That whole, really what we just did and what we did earlier with that side control escape, I'm always trying to, if you're tossing my guard to the side, I'm always going to try to go there.
It's kind of the same.
Yeah, there and or there.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, because the sweep is right here.
Ah.
Right? So we're here.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of get side. There it is. I'm turning away, so you think you have an advantage, but I have the,
Yeah.
I've got the leverage, right? And I can, whatever, go a lot of places from there.
Right. Yeah, those insteps and those hooks, you know, you always know when someone's coming up and they've kind of started turning that corner a little bit between being a complete noob and someone that now is starting to put it together. One of the things I look for is they're starting to use their legs.
For sure.
Because in our real life, we don't use our legs for anything.
Right, that's true.
Almost nothing.
Well, and in concert with everything else.
In concert
right?
with everything else.
So like you'll get them starting to use their legs like, you know, in an inefficient way, and then they start to internalize the whole thing, and it's all one
Yeah.
machine. So.
Are you a choking guy? Do you?
Yeah. I like those too.
Yeah. I did some training with Roy Dean last week, a couple weeks ago, and one of the things I noticed, because I don't roll with him quite as much as I used to, is that he's always looking to get that hand in the collar, and it's so annoying. And the big takeaway for me is to work my collar chokes a little bit more, because I mean, I do collar chokes, but they're not so relentless. Like he's just always attacking that neck.
Yeah. I'm a big believer. Like collar chokes are terrifying, and people who are good at them are really good at them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a big believer in gi training for that reason, because it forces you to think offensively and defensively that way. And no gi, of course, you need to be aware of all the head and arm chokes and darces and so forth.
What do you like if you're doing a collar choke, just standard?
One of my favorite collar chokes. Glad you asked. So very, very sneaky. This is a version of the Bravo or Bravo choke that's simplified and quite sneaky. So often the classical way is to pull the tail out and put it around the head. So this way, I'm going to be here, and I just go for an extremely deep collar grip. Okay, then I'm going to hip out and get my angle here. And I can either threaten this, which often brings this arm in to defend, right? Or he'll sometimes just, you know, he's starting to think about passing and creating pressure here. So once I get this across, now I've got it, right? Basically. So I'm going to climb up the back. I like to transfer to the elbow. There it is.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really simple.
So it's like an improvised head and arm.
Right, or
kind of
it's a darce with the gi, essentially.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Over here, open it up, go a little deeper than you think, kind of to the back of the neck there. Okay, I get my angle, which also means I can go different if I have to bail.
Yeah.
Here, here, right? Climb up the back. You can push on the elbow.
Oh man, that is nice. I love that angle you're getting. Let me try that, because I've actually hit that, but you know, it's been more this sort of thing where I'm square, but
I'm pushing away.
You're really getting onto this side.
Now push the elbow and get your knee up higher in the back.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm on the wrong side.
Cross grip.
I'm going to go this. We can go this way too. Sorry, I moved to the wrong side. Yeah. So here.
That's it.
So you're doing that.
Yes, and sometimes you can finish, but I often
And then just push.
Yeah, and you're done.
Or.
Yep.
Nice.
Options, right? That's the other thing we try to create. Always have an exit or another way to get where you want to go.
Yeah. So what's left to learn? I mean, that's a dumb question to those of us that train well, because what's not left to learn? But
there's so much. I think It's important to be humble and open to new things without throwing away like the foundational stuff, right? Do those foundational things still work? Can they be improved upon? Are you the person to improve upon them? Like really, maybe you can. Maybe you do have something that's a little tweak to the rear naked choke that has some really a lot of value.
Speaking of tweaks, you turned me on to a way of finishing the triangle.
Oh yeah,
which is non-standard.
Yeah,
and is maybe a way for people with shorter legs to make the triangle work.
Right. Yeah.
And so you want to show that? That's
sure.
kind of cool.
Okay. So,
what side do you like?
We'll go here. Okay, so I get in to what this is the threat position, right? Yeah. And maybe the arm's over, maybe it's not, but I'm going to get my angle, okay, and keep my knees close to the ears. This one's close to this ear. I'm pushing this knee into this ear, okay? And I really have a really severe angle. There's not a lot of, the space has been deeply constricted here. So the traditional, or the way you often see the triangle finished, is kind of I'm putting my foot behind my knee,
right,
and my shin is at this angle. I'm still sort of square with you, and I've been moving my finishes to more of this angle where the foot is under the calf, and I'm bringing my knee into you. So it's almost like that scissoring action like that.
And that's tight. That is
super
you
tight.
have to feel it. That's really tight.
And I can usually get it without crossing my legs, which is kind of cool. So if you have a large guy, big neck, big shoulders, right, and you can get your angle and get to here. Not always, but often.
Yeah.
And then you can also create more pressure by putting the foot behind the calf instead of sucking. We're used to sucking it all the way in, which may be more of a good way to lock the head down.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily the best way to get pressure. So now I've got some of my guys who have shorter, stocky legs who can finish this stuff.
Yeah. How do you prevent while we're there?
Yeah.
How do you prevent people from
posturing up
and doing that whole
that
whole thing?
Okay. You had to go there, didn't you? Okay, so here's our setup, right?
Yeah.
So it's still good to.
So you're still closing.
To grab the shin, right? So really, it's just the actual finishing mechanics. You get your angle, okay, and put my knee right by your ear. Right.
Yeah, that comes on fast.
And it's very subtle, and but I really had to relearn how I thought about that whole process.
Yeah.
It's like, pull it here, trap the head.
Well, it makes sense because the goal is to apply pressure to the carotid artery.
Yes.
So you're going in.
Right.
So you're taking this triangle that's around this whole thing and trying to create that pressure. So it kind of makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So it's more of this scissoring action versus just like this brute kind of squeezing action. So it's always something to learn.
Yeah, I'm going to have to play with that.
For sure.
I am going to have to play with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I mentioned I've never been to Montana before, and it's such a beautiful state, beautiful city, beautiful facility, and honestly, I'd be thrilled to train here if I lived here. So it was so
all
good.
Are welcome. All are welcome.
It was so good to finally meet you. I mean, we've been online friends for a while.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
And looking forward to learning more from you. And it's been a lot of fun training. So hopefully this is good content for the channel.
Thanks for being with us, spending time up here.
Sounds good. Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you.